Hi there, welcome to The Edge's Facebook page's #1 show at this particular time. 3 to 5 things we didn't have time to talk about today. I'm your host, Fred Kennedy. I would like to thank our marvelous sponsors, Corey's Clothiers at 569 Danforth Avenue. Right now, they've got the last call sale on. That's on until the 14th, up to 60% off on everything on the bottom floor. And all the new fall stuff is in already. And here's the thing that, normally I just make silly jokes. But I will say this, that they've got all kinds of Canada Goose stuff in right now. And the Canada Goose stuff always sells out because it comes out once and it's gone. So they got the stuff, all the new Canada Goose stuff at Corey's Clothiers right now. So you can go in and you can get it if you'd want to. Also, I would encourage you to check out the stuff from Zizania. And I'm saying that because every now and again, this is the problem. This is where guys always have holes in their wardrobe. I've got a suit and I've got t-shirts and jeans. What do I have for in between? I have that problem. That's where I go to Corey's. They got amazing sport coats there. And I'm telling you, you just throw a sports coat on when you're wearing like a t-shirt and you suddenly look like you know what you're talking about. I could be talking about physics and you'd believe me. Why? Because I'm wearing a sports coat. It's just what happens. All right. I want to start this off on a very difficult, dark, annoying, anger-inducing topic. Is the picture of the douchebags up? Mm-hmm. Solid. Okay. We got Leslie Nizick, Joshua Cabrera, and Samir Kara. They are 3 police officers that were accused of sexually assaulting a parking enforcement officer while they were all out on some sort of hazing ritual with the rookies, going from bar to bar, drinking copious amounts of alcohol, so on and so forth. They ended up going back to a hotel room, and I should note that some of the officers were so turned off by the scenario involving so much alcohol, being drunk, and everybody going back to a hotel room that they opted not to go. But sexual relations proceeded to happen earlier today. Those 3 officers were acquitted of any wrongdoing. Here's the thing. I can kind of understand logically why they were acquitted. Show the picture of the Canadian courts. That is because Canadian courts operate on fact, not morality. The problem is you've got a whole bunch of people drinking alcohol and a whole bunch of people with different stories. Okay? That is why it's difficult for the courts to come in and make a decision on that and make it final and make it make sense. However, there was a great line uttered in the movie Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, where Elizabeth Hurley is all drunk and wants to hook up with Austin Powers. A man who is made of mojo says, no, it's not right. That is a scene that should be played in every single high school sex ed class, period. You don't have sex with somebody when they're so drunk they can't logically consent. It is just wrong. The courts don't deal in morality, which is upsetting, but understandable. It still turns my stomach. If somebody's drunk, you don't have sex with them. It's that simple. Period. End of story. You just don't do it. There's no excuse. Those 3 officers are bags of douche. They are the reason that people hate police officers, because they're doing shady crap and their heads are messed up with some complex power authority. That's not me saying that all cops are assholes, because they're not. There's a lot of very good cops that are in it for very good reasons and want to make the world a better place. But then you've got these dick smacks going around making the rest of them look bad. And not just cops, but dudes in general. We're not all assholes. We're not all horn dogs trying to get our dicks into anything that's had too much to drink. It's that simple. Most of us aren't like that. But these idiots make us look bad. It disgusts me. It insults me. And it makes me very upset. I will make sure that my boys know, period. You don't hook up with somebody who's drunk. The irony being that they were probably conceived while my wife and I were drunk. The difference being that we're married, not rando strangers at a bar. And when we get to that point where we're so drunk, we take embarrassing photos of each other and post them on social media like a happy married couple. That's what we do. The most disgusting part of this whole trial is that one of the officers telling the other one, stop, dude, she's out. It's horrible. It's a horrible, gut-wrenching, stomach-turning trial. Everything about it is awful. I just wanted to say that. If you've ever thought, I can totally hook up with a girl when she's drunk. No, you can't. You cannot. It is wrong. Don't do it, period. End of story. Do I need to go on? I don't need to go on. Don't have sex with drunk people, male or female. If you're thinking that they're going to wake up regretting it, don't do it. Just don't do it. Moving on. Let's talk about something great and positive that genuinely puts a smile on my face. Knight Rider could be making a comeback to television, and not the weird, like, goofy revamp version that they did a while ago, but like legit Knight Rider, Trans Am, sports car, robotic voice, David Hasselhoff having a role in it as Michael Knight, a man without a past. I'm telling you, Knight Rider was amazing. Michael Knight was this guy, and he had a car called Kit that he could drive around in, and the car would like do things. It could go super fast. It had machine guns. It was an amazing car. And it had the voice of Higgins from Magnum P.I., which was also really good. Now, why is there a chance that Knight Rider could be coming back? Well, because of a little song that David Hasselhoff did for the soundtrack of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and apparently it has generated a lot of interest in the concept of bringing back Knight Rider, which is great. I do have one thing that I would like to see: somebody with a Bea Arthur-esque voice being the voice of Kit. I'm just telling you, it is time that a woman has had an opportunity to be a snooty, artificially intelligent robot car. This is what the gender battle is all about. Giving women an opportunity to be a condescending robot car. That's what this is all over, okay? We could have somebody like Bea Arthur in the car constantly doubting all of your ideas. Now, I know that Bea Arthur is dead. I am aware. Perhaps we could get some sort of, like, I don't know, necromancer to raise her from the grave, or we could just get a stand-up comedian who does a great impression of Bea Arthur. But I just think that Bea Arthur's persona from Golden Girls, as well as her voice as Kit, would make for a great show. What if the concept of the show isn't that David Hasselhoff has some new young apprentice that he's grooming to be the Knight Rider driver? It's just literally old David Hasselhoff running errands as an old person. You know? What if that's the whole concept? That's relatable. We're lost on the way to the grocery store again, Michael. No thanks to you, Bea Arthur. Moving on. I'm just thinking it's great. It's a great show. Let's talk about, remember how earlier I said not all cops are assholes? Let me introduce you to Jennison. Now, Jennison is a police officer here in Toronto, and some people have criticized him for what he did here. There was a young man at a store trying to get a shirt and a tie to go to a job interview. They didn't have the money for the shirt and tie, so they tried to shoplift it, and they got caught. And when the security in the store called the police, this guy was the one who showed up. And he bought the kid a shirt and a tie so that they could go to their job interview. The world is not a fair or even place, and there are people that are trying to get ahead that don't have the resources that others do, and it makes things difficult. For instance, now this isn't the same, but when I was growing up, and I can remember this, and it used to drive me crazy, we didn't have a computer in the house. I didn't grow up in a really wealthy home at all, by any sense of the word. And there was an assignment that we had to do in grade 12 English where we had to have a computer printed essay written up with proper bibliographies and all this garbage put into it and then handed in. I didn't even have a computer, so I needed to stay in at the school at lunch hours and come in early and then stay after school to get this whole term paper done and have it done on a computer. That's a small example. But this is a kid who's trying to better themselves and doesn't have nice clothes to show up to a job interview. And it's frustrating to realize that a lot of times the way you're dressed and the way you look does make a really good impression on somebody. This kid shows up at a job interview wearing like a ratty t-shirt and jeans. They're not going to get a job. Somebody coming in right after them that's like well-dressed, wearing nice pants and a nice shirt and tie has a much better chance. So a big thank you to this officer, Jennison, for doing something great for the community. Like a lot of people crap on police officers. That's what this guy is supposed to be doing, is making the community a better and safer place for everybody. And him helping a kid get a job and get ahead is exactly what his job is supposed to be. So thank you. The complete opposite of those douches that we started out the segment with today. Okay. I'm really getting heavy today, and I'm sorry. But the Invictus Games are about to come to Toronto in just a few weeks. Prince Harry of the British royal family being a big champion of the Invictus Games. Now, the Invictus Games, for those of you who don't know, is a big Olympic-esque sports event for soldiers and service members from around the world that have been injured in the line of duty. Yesterday, they lit the torch in Kabul, Afghanistan, because that's where a lot of these veterans are coming from. They were injured in Afghanistan by like IEDs, things like that. And now it's going to make its way through to Europe, to Germany, then across the pond, and then it's going to come over here. I believe in this event, and I think it's really great because I truly believe in the power of sport being like a psychological curing type of thing. And the reason for that is my father was almost killed in a peacekeeping accident in Haiti in 1996, and he had to do physio, and he had to do all this stuff. And I can remember for him, the physio was like a real grind, and he didn't enjoy it. And he was in physio for like a year and a half. And in a year and a half after the accident, he was finally capable physically of going out and playing baseball again, like softball. And I can tell you 100% there was a massive twist in his psychology, like in his mental well-being. Just being able to go out and play sports with other people and have a good time and do something that he used to do on an even playing ground. I think it's fantastic, and I loved it. And so I've seen firsthand what like sports and athletics and activity can do. It's a huge thing mentally. I firmly believe in it. I think the Invictus Games is something that the people of Toronto really need to get together and support, even if you don't even know anybody in the military. Just know that you're helping some people get through some issues. And we're always so quick to hit retweet when it comes to like mental health and mental health awareness and blah, 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 blah. That's easy. Get your money and put it where your mouth is and support events like this because they're really important. Now, something else. The World Warf Games is going on at the University of Guelph right now. And I read about this yesterday. I talked about it a little bit on air. It's like another Olympic-like sports event for little people from around the world. There's a whole bunch of people from Toronto in it. There's people from across Canada competing in it. And there's all kinds of events. And what's great about this is yesterday, I saw a woman post on Instagram that she posted a picture of her son playing in an event at the World Warf Games, and I just commented on it saying, hey, that's awesome. I was talking about this yesterday on the air. And I got this message back from her, and I'm pretty dead inside, but occasionally I get a little bit emotional. And this woman said that she's so proud and so happy to see her son go out and play in a sporting event where it's an even playing field and nobody's laughing at her kid for the way he runs and the way he plays sports and the way he looks. And it just broke me. It just broke me. No one wants to see their kid get laughed at. Nobody. And it can be very difficult when your kid is different than all the other kids. And I can't even imagine how rough that is, and seeing your kid try and deal with things that you can't relate to, and you can't just take the pain away because it's something they got to deal with. So the World Warf Games is once again an amazing thing, and I've been seeing all these pictures of these kids, these adults going out and just having like the best time. And it's an even playing field. And it's something that we all take for granted so much. Like, you know how when people always say, check your privilege, check your privilege? When I saw that, my privilege was firmly checked because I realized how lucky I am to be who I am and have the opportunities that I do that a lot of these people just don't get. Like, it crushed me. My son not getting laughed at. No one laughing at him for playing a game. Like, heartbreaking stuff. Like, I'm using the Warriors here because they were like a gang and they had camaraderie and they were in it together. And when you watch the Warriors, you want that feeling of belonging and that sense of being part of something huge. And I can imagine that every one of those kids that's going out there playing in the World Warf Games gets to have that for like once in their life. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. Let's talk about something a little bit serious, but still a little bit funny. Vladimir Putin riding a bear shirtless. Now, he was just posting videos of him over the weekend fishing shirtless, okay? And then this morning, of course, we all wake up to the news that Donald Trump is basically trying to, like, trash talk North Korea into nuclear war on social media. Whether I think that's going to happen or not, I don't really know. I didn't think Donald Trump was actually going to get elected. I legitimately thought it was a joke. But never underestimate the power of idiotic people in large numbers. So, a source, a former KGB spy from the CIA, I was reading about this interview where he was saying that he firmly believes that Vladimir Putin deliberately had hackers leave breadcrumbs to Russia to get them involved to make people question the legitimacy of Donald Trump's election. And that makes perfect sense. Have you ever read The Art of War by Sun Tzu? What's amazing about The Art of War is like every coked up 1980s businessman was all over that book. But it's just a great book about strategy and about the key to victory is understanding your enemy. But there's all kinds of things that are listed in that book. And one of those things is do your best to have your enemies fight amongst themselves so that they never think of you as a challenge. That's a key thing. That's exactly what Vladimir Putin is doing. Look at the states right now. Do you think there's any cohesion in that country at all? People that should be on the same sides fighting against a common foe are busy fighting about everything. It's utter and total chaos in that country, which is exactly what Vladimir Putin wants. Meanwhile, we got Donald Trump trying to throw nuclear weapons. Like, I think he's legitimately convinced that he's going to launch a nuclear warhead from a catapult. Like, that's how he thinks this war is going to be fought. North Korea, Donald Trump, threatening nuclear war, and everyone in the States is still arguing over everything else. Well played, Vladimir Putin. You want some Argos tickets for their games against the Alouettes at BMO Field? I got a 4-pack of tickets. I'll give those to you right now. 416-870-EDGE.